What's going on, everybody? It is TripleCrown24 back today. I'm here to ask a pretty simple question that doesn't have a very simple answer. What makes a sports car dealer? I made a video a little over a year ago that kind of discussed this, but I figure it's time to kind of revisit the conversation, especially given what I've been thinking about over the weekend here to start the week, based on a few interactions I had at the show the past weekend that I was set up at. And I don't want my comments to make it sound like this was a bad show because it was actually a great show, but a few of these interactions kind of stuck with me. In my video a little over a year ago, I asked kind of what is my hobby identity? And I've asked that question to the audience as well. Some people thought I was a flipper. Some people still thought I was a collector at heart. I think the general consensus is most people would label me as a dealer. Maybe some would think of me as an investor on certain cards. I guess that's true. Maybe. I would say that, yeah, I am a dealer, but there are also parts of what I do and parts of who I am that probably dip into some of those other categories as well. I don't think that there is a one size fits all label for not only myself, but for a lot of people out there. However, being a dealer, the reason that I say that with some trepidation is because being a dealer, there are a lot of perks to it, right? And a lot of people, they think some of the perks are cool. Like, okay, I get to buy things at a lower percentage than some people, or I get to set my own hours, I get to be my own boss. That's the fun part, right? The not so fun part are the things that I think a lot of people who want to call themselves dealers don't really want to have to deal with. And unfortunately, to really be a dealer, you can call yourself whatever you want, but to actually be one is and put it into action, you have to kind of take your lumps and do the things that are not so fun. And I'm going to make a video this week chronicling my journey getting ready for a show just to kind of show what goes into it. I mean, it's one thing to show all the big flashy deals that you do at a big time show. I want to show you the not so fun parts or the parts that you have to do to make it successful for yourself or to give you a better opportunity to succeed, I should say. But what goes into making a dealer? Well, I have a few cards I'm going to show you that they're not new to the channel, really. I don't think any of them are. But they were cards I had interactions with this weekend that really made me sit and think about this. Two of those three interactions revolve around this card right here. And I talked about this one in my previous video. It's the first Bowman Corbin Carroll Blue Refractor. And touching briefly on what I said in the last video without just regurgitating the whole thing, is a first Bowman Chrome Blue Refractor of a guy like this is going to be up there in terms of the hobby hierarchy. This is a pretty sought after card. If you're a Corbin Carroll collector, if you're someone who is buying his cards to flip immediately or to move down the line, this is a solid card. And I think most Bowman people will tell you that blue refractors, gold refractors, regular refractors, super refractors, red refractors, those are kind of your bread and butter, your meat and potatoes. Most people not as interested in the shimmers or the lunar craters or the speckles or whatever the new flavor of the month seems to be. There's always a new one with the Bowman releases. Kind of your ones that have been around the longest, your simple ones. And look, simplicity and longevity do not always equate to desirability and long-term value. But I think there is enough of a pattern there to draw a correlation between the two. My point being with this card is that it's a sought-after card. And I had two people come up to me. One offered me 60% of the last sold price. In fact, probably even closer to 50% if we're being truthful about it. And then another one offered me a little under 70%. Basically 3 and 400-ish. We never really had an exact number on that second one. But they both told me that they need to have some room on it. They need to be able to make money on it. These are things that they said, not things that I'm assuming, although I kind of figured that out right away when they were trying to ask if I have any room on it. But they're telling me they need to have room on it. They're the ones who they need to be able to make money on it. Keep in mind, I'm the one who set up at this table that I'm paying for, and they're coming up to me, their black boxes, telling me this. I don't know. You tell me what you think about that. But to me, there's a lot of people out there who want to call themselves dealers, and one of my good friends, he knows who he is, wants to call them LARPers, and I think that might be a good a good term for it. Live action role players. They go on YouTube and they see some influencer going around making these $10,000 deals at shows, and they want to be them rather than be themselves. I mean, there's only one. Insert your favorite influencer here. Be you. Don't be them. What works for them might not work for you. You can take ideas from them, of course, but you won't be able to copy them. You'll be kind of chasing your tail on that. But they want to act like that. And they want to get dealer prices simply by walking around. They don't want to get up at 6 in the morning and drive upwards of 2 hours to come down, spend another half hour setting up all your stuff. It doesn't include the night before or even weeks before getting all your price stickers on there, checking your prices, making sure that maybe you're a little out of line, or perhaps even you might be even a little selling yourself short on some cards, and get all those ready to go. Or organizing your value boxes and getting everything priced out. And a lot of people who set up at shows don't do that. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I go there and someone has 0 prices on anything. If you want something, they'll just look it up for you right there on the spot. I mean, you can do that. I think a lot of people have a pet peeve with that, and I get it. Not everyone has time to do it. But I tell a lot of people that if you go to a show and you're organized and you have your stuff priced, you are already ahead of 50% of the people who will be set up there. That's just my experience. And I mean, take it or leave it, but I find that to be true. Those are kind of some of the things that go into it. Not to mention a lot of these shows you don't have to pay to get into, but even if you do, it's going to be a lot cheaper than what the cost of a table is. For example, this show that I'm referring to get 2 tables, it cost me $70 to set up my stuff there. And because I'm paying for that space to make those deals happen, I mean, yeah, I am going to take that into consideration when I'm trying to buy stuff as well. I mean, if all the vendors were all of a sudden like if you're just trying to sell them your stuff at 120% and buy their stuff at 60 to 70, it's not going to work out too well. These vendors are eventually not going to be there if you keep doing that. I mean, they're not just limitless ATMs for you to go make money off their cards. And look, again, I have no problem if someone is just trying to buy stuff off me to make money off of it. Do whatever you want with it. But I draw the line at when it becomes my problem for them to make money on things. When they're coming up to my table, they're not set up. They don't set up. They don't pay all these overhead costs or put the time into it. That's kind of where I have to draw the line. Because again, you can say that you're a dealer, but those are some of the things that go into being a dealer. I mean, how many times can I tell you that I'm up on a Friday night trying to get as many cards priced into my value boxes as possible before a show? I go to bed at 1 in the morning to wake up at 5:30 to drive 2 hours to a show and then spend another half hour getting it set up. That's the part you don't necessarily see. And I like to show off the cards and talk about that, but maybe I need to do a better job of highlighting that. And again, I plan on making a video this week to kind of show my process of getting ready for a show and what all that entails, because I think a lot of that will give a better picture of what really goes into setting up at a show, and kind of why I've had success with it. And that's not to flex or brag or anything. That's just to tell you my process. So that was one of the deals. Here's the second one, and this was kind of a bulk trade deal. And this happened about 10 minutes before the show was closing. I haven't seen this guy all day. I think he got there late. And I'm usually one of the last ones at a lot of the shows that I'm at. So I get a lot of last minute deals done. He wants to trade for a stack of cards I have. I look through his stuff. He's got some good stuff. One of them is this Amon-Ra St. Brown Navy camo. It's a second-year card. It's numbered to 25. It is from Prism. A lot of people like Prism color. Where is this in the hierarchy? I don't know. It'd be in second year. That kind of is going to drop it down a little bit. I would say that it is average, maybe a little above, maybe a little below. Kind of depends on who you would ask. But I'm definitely not as protective, even though Amon-Ra is my favorite lion over this card as I am this one. I'll work with you on that one, especially because this was in a bulk deal and it's going to be profitable at this point, unless everything goes to zero. But again, we're not talking about doomsday scenarios here. So we're going through. He's pricing out my cards, and I tell him he wants to go off of the last sale of my cards. Like, for example, he wants this Amon-Ra here. It last sold for $250 before the season. That's the only sale on this card for the entire year. It's a PSA 10. It's numbered to 22. Contenders Optic Cracked Ice, again, up there in the hobby hierarchy for ultra-modern football. And he tells me, well, okay, so this last sold at $250, so it's worth $250. Because it's sold for that one price one time, of course, you know, it has to be worth that. So we're going through, and every single one of my cards, it's whatever the last sale was, unless that last sale happens to be higher than the other ones. On his card, I show him, okay, well, I mean, here's the last sale on your cards. No, it's worth more than that. Okay. One of the things he says early on, quote, I need to win this trade. Again, I'm the dealer here. Keep this in mind. He's coming up to me asking me if I want to trade or buy. I ask him what stuff of mine does he like. But he needs to win this deal. He needs to make money on it. He kind of alludes to that fact, but his exact words were, I need to win this trade. All right, not a great start. So we're going through. And the reason I pick out this Amon-Ra is because after, you know, him telling me like, no, this card isn't worth that much, and I'm showing him sales from the past few days of something that sells pretty often on certain cards that are, you know, like, I think I'm pretty spot on here. Caves in eventually. I tell him, you know, he asked me, well, what are the sales on this Amon-Ra? Tell him what they are. Mine's priced a little bit above it, of course. I told him I'll work with you on it. And he doesn't like the number because those sales are about double what he thinks it should be worth. All right, that's fine. Everybody can have their opinions on what it's worth. How is he getting to that number? Well, I'm glad you asked, even if you didn't ask. He pulls up and says, well, this card just did $15.50. So this is the card that he is comping this one to. This is a 2022 navy blue camo prism. You ready for this? Here's the card. You can see my reflection there in the background. It's a Future Wave one-color jersey swatch. You know this thing's probably not even player worn. And even if it said that, I don't know if I'd believe it. Numbered to 60 from encased. So here, a side-by-side. My card, this is what the comp is on it. What this one card sold for. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? I was flabbergasted. And kind of in a nice way, I didn't say what I really wanted to say. I said, don't you kind of think that's a little apples and oranges there, comparing those two? No, he didn't. He did not think that. I was stunned. Absolutely stunned. But kind of at that point is when it broke down. I told him I just don't think it's going to work out. And I was kind of more or less saying like, all right, I can't make this work type of thing. But again, here's a guy who's coming into the show late, looking to make a trade with me here at the last minute. But he needs to win. He needs to win. And a lot of times, too, a lot of these guys, they don't want to take anything but cash for their cards because they don't want to have to report it on their taxes. They don't want to have to pay taxes on it. They don't have a LLC. So they pretty much have to pay more taxes on them because I guess that it would be considered capital gains. I'm not a tax expert, so don't quote me on that. But this is their little side hustle. And hey, I respect the side hustle. Do what you got to do, man. I'm all about grinding it out. but they also are going to get upset when I offer them 80% of their cards. They want to buy mine at 70 to 80% and sell theirs to me at 120%. Look, if you're set up as a dealer, you can do that. Who's going to stop you? When you're coming up to a dealer, I think the expectation has to change. When I go to the national and I'm trying to sell to dealers, I know that I am at a disadvantage and that me making money is not their problem, nor am I going to make it their problem. The responsibility of that falls on my shoulders. And I'm not going to tell them, well, I'm going to be losing money if I do that. No, I know it in my head, and I just won't make the deal if it doesn't make sense to me. I'll tell them, no, I can't do it. I'm also not going to bring things to the show that I know I'm just not going to make a deal on. Like this Corbin Carroll, I probably would bring it to a show, but I would only use it as trade bait. If I really saw something that I needed to, and even then, I don't know if I would really. There's certain cards that I have where I kind of know exactly what I'm going to get offered for them. I know what people are going to say about them. And sometimes I purposely leave those cards home because I'm just not willing to play that game or sell them at those prices. And I understand that, and I leave them at home. And I know that when I go to these shows, like, yeah, people may see my Triple Crown shirt out there, or they may look and if you take a look around and you've seen me at shows before, you kind of know what I'm there for. And I've had people try to make it work because they know what I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to acquire more inventory for myself. But whenever someone has told me that, I tried to tell them, and I don't always say it, that I try to tell them, me making money is not their problem. Because I don't want anyone to ever feel like they are obligated to sell something to me because I need to make money on their cards, because I'm not entitled to it. Nobody's really entitled to make money off of anybody's cards. But I do know that to do what I do, there's a lot of work that goes into a lot of grinding, a lot of late nights, 100-hour weeks at times. Not every single week, but a lot of weeks. I mean, it kind of goes up to there. Now, I'm not in some factory doing hard manual physical labor for 100 hours. I don't want to make it sound like that, but a lot of it is just being persistent, keeping my eyes open, looking for opportunities, trying to make sales happen, extending olive branches, sorting out cards, looking through collections, and getting everything organized. That's kind of what I mean. And that's the grinding out part. And look, it's my opinion that you have to kind of do those things to really be a dealer. If you want to call yourself a dealer, that's fine. But I'll tell you right now, it's going to be really hard to get the benefits of being a dealer without having to put in the work and the not so fun parts to reach that goal. Take it or leave it, but that's just my experience. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. What goes into being a dealer? Hey, if you don't think I'm a dealer, you can tell me why. I'm open to feedback. I don't want this to just be an echo chamber where everybody tells me that I'm right all the time. So hey, if you think that I'm wrong, I'd love to hear your feedback. Or if you do agree with me, let me know that too. But let's continue the discussion down in the comments below. Take care, stay safe, be kind.